What's going on, guys? Matt at Middles Motorsports here. Another episode of Behind the Tune coming at you right now. 2018 Mustang GT up in the dyno. So let's go take a look at what we got. Manual transmission, Gen 3 Coyote. We got a cold air intake on it. If I can get my camera on it here. Cold air. We put inch and 7/8 Kooks headers on it. It's got a Resonator Delete to the stock valved mufflers, and that's pretty much it. 91 octane tune, so nothing crazy with the fuel pump gas deal. We put some lowering springs on the car, so it's got a nice little stance. Put some different wheels on it, and I'm doing a dyno tune right now. So where we're at so far, this is where we're at right now. 442, 401 torque is my best. Those are the last two I just did. So we'll record a third pull here. We'll take a look at the data log. And this car I'm using PCM tech on. I'm still using HB tuners for the logging, but I've been moving to PCM tech for the engine side of things on these Gen 3 Coyotes and GT500s because I just personally like the software a little better. There's a lot more tables available to adjust for some of the stuff we get into. It's a little bit more in-depth, and it's working out really nice for us. So again, this is where I'm at so far. I think this is going to be about the final. Play with the fuel a little bit. Obviously we put headers on them. I changed some cam angles just slightly, and yeah, so far so good. So I'm going to put the camera back up on the rack there. We'll log, we'll video one more pull, and we'll take a look at the final. All right, guys, so final pull there. Let's take a look. Pretty much identical to the other two. Dropped off 9/10, 8/10 of a. It's getting a little hotter. The coolant temps on that pull were 200, so but that's where they run. So I like doing multiple pulls in a row. You might see couple little differences too, but you know, it's just kind of the artifacts of a dyno. I did add a little bit of fuel down here, which picked up versus that red run. And it being, and we'll look at the log, but it being on 91 octane, the timing system, the HDFX system, is kind of, you know, it's adding and taking timing away as it sees needed with the knock sensor. So I'll kind of show you that on the logger here. And my battery's about to die on my laptop, so we'll be quick. Pick this up here. Okay, so that dang glare. Okay, let's go like that. So timing. Let's start with that first. So you can see my knock. It's pulling a little bit. And this is kind of my timing curve for these bolt-on Coyotes that I put in here. So, yeah, this battery's about to die, so we'll go quick. So, if you were to run 93, it would add most of this timing back in. And I really like to try to get them to kind of like the 26, 27 degrees on pump gas if we can. They will make a little more power like that. Obviously on 85. These things will make power all the way out to almost 30 degrees of timing, especially out at the top of 7500, 30 degrees for sure. So air-fuel ratio, for you, if you LS guys are watching this, you'll notice how rich we are, and that's where Coyotes like to run. Even the NA stuff likes to be in that low 0.8. So, you know, low 12s, almost that 12.0 mark, right around that mark for air fuel. That's where they make the most power, and that's where they'll take the most timing. They're very tolerant of rich mixtures because of the the combustion chamber is really efficient on these things, and they'll burn a rich mixture pretty well. So GT500s are kind of the same way. Like when we're on pump gas on those cars, I run them pretty rich. I'll run them low 11s, 11.0 even, and that's where they'll take more timing. And because the power doesn't drop off with a richer mixture, more timing is going to be more power. So especially, these engines are high compression. These Gen 3 Kaitos are 12-to-1 compression. So the more time you can put in them, the more power they make. That's why they love E85. So that's why E85 will routinely see 25 to 30 wheel gain over pump gas, especially 91 octane. 30 wheel is pretty typical on a gain on going from 91 to E85. So, and I've gone over PCM tech in some of my past videos, but a little different than HB tuners. A lot more stuff. There's just like every single table that's in the processor here, and some of them don't pertain to, they kind of just pull everything out and give it to you, and then whether or not it pertains to the specific car you're tuning, you got to figure that out, which I kind of like. I've been tuning for a long time, and I'm comfortable with navigating stuff like this. So yeah, really cool stuff. More of a tree view versus HB tuners kind of has that table view where it's laid out. I don't have it open right now, but so I've been switching to this. Plus, these guys have some flex fuel options with adding a flex fuel sensor with a custom operating system for Coyote stuff, which I'm going to be implementing in the future on my car and some of the other customers we have that race GT500s, and that's going to trickle down to stuff like this. So we can add a flex fuel sensor, and the guys will have the option without trying to use that Ford inferred stuff that doesn't always work the best. They'll actually have a sensor that will feed direct info as to what the ethanol content is right into the PCM. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for this one, guys. I'm making this pretty quick because middle of the day here, and we're of course swamped. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. We're gonna take a look at this graph one more time. And I don't have a baseline for this car because we got it in, we did the headers. Car already had that cold air intake on it. We put the long tubes on it, and put the springs on it, did an alignment, an oil change, brake flush, a bunch of different stuff to it for maintenance. And this is where we're at. So I'm thinking that looks really nice. And another thing I'll add one more thing. I talked about it on a couple other videos ago about 10 speeds to MT82s and the 18 and up. The MT82 is the D4 MT82 in the 2018 and up Mustangs is a really super wide ratio. Unlike the 10-speed, which is super close. So these cars typically aren't quite as fast accelerating when you're running them through the gears as a 10-speed car. So and I'll say this to the customer again too, but I really emphasize really winding out the manual cars, the D4 cars like this. You really need to give it some RPM, because the shift recovery is back to like here on these, especially like the 1-2 and the 2-3 shift. It's a massive drop because the gear spacing is really wide. They switched the overdrive in the MT82 in 2018. They switched the overdrive from 5th to 4th gear, and they widened all the gear spacing way out. So to get these cars to quarter mile really well and like 60 to 130 really well, you really got to ring them out, 70, 77, 7800, where the 10-speed, you can shift them like right up here at 73, 7400, and they're only going to drop back to like 6500. So the 10 speeds, you can keep them like right here. The manual cars, you got to wind them way out here because they're going to drop way back. So 8,000 RPM limit on this car, and you're going to end up using most of it. 78, I would be shifting this car right out where I took it, right to 78 there. You can see it starts to drop off pretty hard at about 75, 76. It starts to roll over pretty hard. But you got to get into that a little bit, because otherwise you're dropping it all the way back here and you're down below what you're falling to up here. So shift points and shift RPM and shift recovery has a super big role in all these modern cars with the different transmissions. That's why the 10 speeds accelerate so well, because they hold such a narrow RPM and they hold it right at the peak power. So pretty cool stuff. I like getting into that stuff and trying to get guys going fast. So that'll wrap it up for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later.